Hello, welcome to Quackalope. Thank you for being here. Today we're playing Icarus from Renegade Games Studio, a board game version of a RPG storytelling experiential game. I'm joined here with Wes Todd the Mingo.
Hello, hello.
Brian from Game Brigade. And we are up at like 2 a.m. playing games, drinking, having a good time. Don't leave the video. Trust me, out of all the content we make here at Quackalope, these are by far the most entertaining.
That's for sure.
West, how do we play this game?
Okay, so the basic concept of this is we are currently planning a civilization, gentlemen. This civilization, don't touch my cards. Stop it.
I'm organizing
I'm gonna hand them out to you. Leave them alone. Stop touching my stuff. This is a game that's all about building a tower. We're collecting a civilization for ourselves. What type of civilization are we playing, gentlemen? Is this going to be a frontier civilization where we're up in space? Is this going to be a post-apocalyptic?
A Greek civilization.
I'm going to add some caveats to this.
In the Golden Age.
Golden Age, so like 1920s Greek, as if Greece still existed.
Yeah, we just do that. Yeah, we should.
As if Greece still existed in the 1920s.
Yeah.
Should we write that down?
Yep, so 1920s Greece.
But a version of it that is like what we think of as historic record.
Write the entire thing. This is you're going to use the whole page. Don't make space. That is an entire sheet of paper.
Start over.
Try again.
What's an entire sheet of paper?
It's an entire sheet of paper. This is an aspect. This is a part of our world. So it is 1920s Greece. Okay. The next thing that's important for us to I mean, that's a good way to spell that, I guess.
1920s Grek.
Grek.
All right.
Now, we're in Grek.
It's cool. It's hip. You know, it's the new way of saying Greece. I'm a Grecan.
What are these?
All right, these are the different things. These are the strengths. You are going to pick a strength currently, all right? We have the strength of law.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead and read that out loud.
Though there are lots of laws in Icarus, there is one unique law that citizens are particularly fond of. What is it and why was it made?
Okay, that is one option for one person. This is another option for another person, the law of architecture.
The building within Icarus looked like no other place on the planet. Why is this and how does it affect the people that perceive the city?
This is another strength. This will be the strength of health.
There was once a major medical breakthrough or discovery within Icarus that has kept the people here healthier. What was it and how has that affected the way we operate?
This is the strength of education.
The citizens of Icarus are held to the highest standards within the educational system. What subject or topic is seen as the most important and how is it that it has manifested itself culturally?
Now, before you choose something, I want to make sure you understand. We are building this tower here in front of us, gentlemen. The tower is a concept, an ability of our area, and if this tower ever falls, it's because we failed as a civilization.
We are telling the story of a civilization rising up into the point of collapse, like America currently.
And these are the strengths of your own particular self
in my opinion,
this society.
Based on what I'm looking at here,
are we each taking one?
We're each taking one.
There's only one that makes sense for a 1920s Grek civilization.
Okay.
And that is architecture.
Okay.
All right.
You're taking architecture?
So you are the architecture. So now, Brian, now that you've taken that, I want you to answer the question on the card.
Please tell us the story of, and read the question.
The strength one?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I'll read the whole thing again.
Yep.
The building within Icarus looks like no other place on the planet.
That would be our tower.
Why is this, and how does it affect the way people perceive the city?
Tell us about our society.
Why does this building look like nothing else ever seen?
Yeah, so what does the building look like? Describe it. No, don't write it down yet. Talk first.
This is a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
The nice thing about storytelling games,
building.
Nothing is wrong.
That's correct.
So this is so magnificent because it is a grand, opulent place of communal gathering.
Okay.
And it's where all the people within the city will come once a day to give thanks to their people.
Okay. What is it made out of? What does it look like?
This structure is made of pure marble.
Describe some of the artwork and stuff that you might see around it.
And so they worship at this location?
They don't worship. These people are communal, and they come through and they just give thanks to each other.
Oh.
It's a very welcoming...
It's a very centric society.
Okay, so they're giving thanks and exchanging...
To society itself.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
okay.
What type of artwork would we see on this building?
You're going to see motifs and filigree surrounding the structure as it goes around and tells the story of the people from when they were just little people traveling through the times, and it's a full story of the people.
So in a way, this story is actually spiraling up this big giant tower.
Yes.
All right, I love it.
Can you tell me how this building itself affects our society?
Is that a question that's literally on there?
What's the impact to our society?
How does this affect the way that people perceive it? This is really where people believe that at the core of it, their people are this building, because it is the history of their people. And if anything were to happen to this, they're afraid that their people might cease to exist.
I love it. That's beautiful.
All right. So now you're going to write one word about what he just said.
Okay.
So it's the aspect of this. So it's like the history. This building is our history.
So I think can I write 2 words or only 1 word?
You can write 2 words. Just make sure they're very clear words that establish one central concept.
So I'm writing our history.
Our history works perfectly.
It's contained within that.
Great. All right. Now, Jesse, which one are you choosing for yourself?
So I think I'm actually going to go for health.
Okay.
There was a major medical breakthrough or discovery within Icarus that has kept the people here healthier. What was it, and how has it affected the way society operates?
Now, you can think way outside the bounds here because Greece managed to stay around.
So this is the 1920s, and we actually have invented the very first male birth control.
Wow.
Interesting.
It's a very simple thing. It's a pill that you take.
Okay.
It lasts for 3 months.
Okay.
Upon taking it, is 98.7% effective.
Okay.
The only times it's not effective is in that window between just having taken it before it's absorbed into the body, and that 3-month window. Sometimes it's a few days off from that perfect 3-month mark.
Okay.
If you're in month 2, you can guarantee that your sperm is going to be entirely immobile.
Okay.
Our society has responded to that by actually kind of strangleholding a bit of new development. Birth control and child rearing and family rearing is 100% a thing that people choose to do. If you have a child, the society knows with a fact that any child they see around the street is a child that was chosen by the family that has it. That means judgment is cast upon the poor, and respect is given to the families that are wealthier or middle class that have chosen to invest in the future.
Okay.
So it's made family planning a thing that we constantly are aware of.
All right.
And I'm gonna write down the word family planning.
Okay.
Or birth control.
I was going to say birth control, but
Birth control.
Birth control, yep.
Okay. What are you taking, West?
I'm taking law. Again, though there are lots of laws in Icarus, there is one unique law that citizens are particularly fond of. What is it, and why was it made? That law is the mandatory law for male birth control. The only way a male cannot be on male birth control is if they apply for a permit.
I love that.
To have a child.
I love that.
So not only are children extremely precious, they are very carefully monitored by the government.
Great.
So this would be
big government
should
coming
this be
in.
family planning?
This is family planning.
Okay.
He's like, no, I got a better one for family planning.
All right, now gentlemen, I'm going to pass you a card here. You're going to take a card. You're going to look at it, and this will tell you your role within our city. Keep this to yourself.
Okay.
This is your role within the city. So Jesse, this is yours.
Should I reveal it or no?
In a moment. You can now reveal your role within the city.
Oh, my motive is to bring down Icarus.
Okay.
The statue in the center of our divine city.
Just Icarus in general. But yes, your motive is to bring down everything.
Your motive?
I'm to preserve the city.
Okay.
Prevent the corruption that is Jesse from ruining
You
our
voted
city.
for the birth control law.
Maybe.
I'm
happens.
smuggling children out of the city.
Yeah.
And I am looking to get rich.
Wow.
All right. Now, another thing that we're going to have to deal with are the weakness for our city. So here on this card, there is a notice of weakness.
Okay, should I give this to a friend over here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Could you please tell us, read that out loud, and let us know what the consequence of that is?
Weakness. The citizens of Icarus are taught only what they need to know. What important knowledge? What important knowledge is being hidden from them, and why?
It has to be that they don't understand that birth control is actually happening. What if they don't know what they're taking is birth control? And that when they're asking to...
But there's a law, and you have to get a permit.
But the
But the law
might
doesn't have to say it's birth control.
The law might be that you have to take a certain type of regimented medicine or
Yeah.
something like that, and the people are ignorant to the fact that
it's male birth
sterilization
control.
is
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
And if you
That
want
the government is controlling
no,
the population.
and in fact, the population may be educated to believe that birth is a divine right given by society,
Coming from the tower.
coming from society itself, and so they go to worship at the shrine
Yeah.
to each other with the hope that they might conceive a child. That's where you put in an
that
application.
they could be blessed with
like
a
that.
child. Yes.
So what should I write down here?
I love this. All right, for weakness, this is going to be, let's call it, what is a good aspect for this? This would have to be something to the
Sterilization?
effect of, yeah, let's call it unknown
different.
sterilization.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to set
Alright.
this over here too, so we know that it's a more
Yep.
negative thing.
So we're actually going to separate these out just a little bit because this is going to be how we're going to do our next rounds. So now what we're going to do is we're all going to take a turn, and we're going to, this is the weakness one, right? Okay, so this is
Education.
now, that's education.
I love how our little story so far has now,
Become real.
it's tied together.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so now we're going to start the actual first round. So the way that this round works is you're going to take a die, and then you're going to choose one of these 5 things, and you're going to explain how your house, your power, your strength, along with your motive, is going to do something in this area.
Okay.
So I'll give you a great example. I am going to leverage the fact that our birth control is a forced birth control. So we're actually going to make sure that the tower is connected to the birth control as far as the company. So the company that actually makes our birth control that nobody knows is really birth control is actually connected with the tower itself, and that I am the liaison that allows me to charge everybody who has to take that birth control. So I'm going to be able to take a little bit of money every single time someone has to purchase the forced birth control.
Should I write this down?
Not yet. So now,
All right.
hold on one second. So now I have to...
Do not shake that table.
Yes, definitely don't shake the table. So now I have to take a card around this, and then I have to do what this card says and follow this in. So this is called the cracks in our facade. A group was sent out to investigate a strange anomaly just beyond the border of the city. What did they see, and who is going to investigate? Now, somehow this has to connect to the birth control. So what they don't know is that there was a group was sent out to investigate a strange anomaly. That anomaly was the delivery from outside of Greece, delivering the birth control from my company, because I've now actually changed the company that was providing the birth control.
So like hovercrafts came in and landed down. We weren't supposed to know about them.
Exactly. Nobody was supposed to see it, but apparently they had to turn lights on because there may have been some fogged event.
Yeah.
And now, because of that, those lights having to be turned on and the fogged event that happened, now many people saw it, so they had to send a contingent out to investigate. And what they saw was people unloading the pills into the back of the temple.
Very interesting. Do you got to connect? Do I need to write that down or no?
Nope, this just stays here. So,
do you have a connection you want to make?
Well, hold on. Here's the next thing that happens. Now you both get to decide if you're going to assist in this to make sure that our system doesn't fall. So you can either put your advantage to try to help to make sure that people don't see things going bad here, or you can choose to do any other one of these here on the board.
What do you mean by assist?
So at the end of this, what's going to happen is I'm going to roll that die, and if it comes up with one of these symbols, then we've succeeded in making sure that nothing bad happens.
And if we assist?
If you assist, then it will also be included in that roll.
Okay.
If you don't assist, then I only get the one, and if it's not one of these beautiful towers, it goes up here on top of this tower.
Why would we not want to assist?
The reason you didn't want to assist was because maybe you're wanting to work on one of these at a later time, so you want to put some extra dice on one of those to advance a storyline that you're more interested in.
And you've also got your own personal motive.
Mm-hmm.
Does this help you preserve the city?
In a way, but what really tries to preserve the city is our history.
Okay, interesting.
For what people don't remember, because it happened so long ago, is that when we were allowing our people to have full, unabridged rights to just do what they wanted to and make children as they pleased, we were on the brink of collapse because our lands could not support the amount of people we had. The only way we were able to control it and to keep our civilization going was to control the birth. And that history is the core tenet of why we do everything we do.
Does that mean that someone has chiseled it off of the tower because that information is unknown to us?
This is such a grand scope. It's there,
but it's almost hidden.
Might be hard to decipher based on it.
Okay.
And so this whole thing is based on the aspect of keeping our civilization alive, and otherwise we're not going to be around because we don't have the structure to support it.
All right.
I think it's very fascinating. Now, if I wanted to go support the art history section, does he need to draw one of these or no?
Yes, he will draw a card as well.
This is another cracks in our facade. A citizen attempts to plead their innocent to a serious crime, but is found guilty and sentenced. What was the crime, and how are people of Icarus punished for doing their wrongdoings?
So this relates specifically to your story.
History.
Yep.
So this person
found out maybe about that part.
I like the idea of the architecture.
Well, they broke they were a serious crime, and in fact with our history. So what I'm going to say is that this person was deciphering some of the clues within the facade, and
probably pretty scholarly.
They were looking because they maybe saw something that didn't make sense. And so they were climbing, they were scaffolding, and they were looking at all the different lines. And you are not allowed to touch or climb the structure because it is sacred to our people, because anything could damage our history.
So this wasn't necessarily like a maintenance worker. This was someone who was
trying to. They thought something might be wrong. Something doesn't make sense.
Got it.
Why are we taking these pills? So they were checking the scholarly work. And you're not allowed to touch that.
All right. So Jesse, are you going to be assisting in either one of these?
If I assist, what does that mean?
It means that you're making it more likely that his story will succeed, and that the person will not get punished, and that his information might get out.
Could you please clarify here how someone is punished?
The punishment in our city, there's only one punishment, and it's capital punishment. Because the crime that this person's...
What does capital punishment look like?
It is death.
No, but how?
I don't know.
Do you want me to help?
Yeah.
So I think around the outside of our shrine here, around the outside of our tower, this monolith built to society itself, we have these beds. There's 5 stone beds outside of each doorway. And if you are convicted of a capital crime, which is nearly any crime, you are strapped down, and the people themselves actually just whittle away at your life as you go. And they can choose to do one of two things. They could either grab a stone and throw it, or beat you a little bit, or slap you with rods, which is a popular thing, or they can do the most cruel thing possible, which is hand you a piece of food as they go into the shrine, to keep you alive a little bit longer. So this shrine to society is showing you the punishment for disobeying society as you walk in. And you're part of that.
That's really rough punishment. Yeah, I like it.
Okay, so for me, I am going to support the art history section.
Okay.
What we have not announced, and actually comes out of the woodwork as this person is caught, is that a highfalutin, a very wealthy businessman, actually sponsored the research that was being done.
Okay.
He doesn't declare full ownership, but he does do a thing that's very unique in our society, which he steps out and he says, "You're mistaken. The research was not about the history specifically. It was instead about language that we've lost. And isn't our society one that always respects language?" And so there's a different argument here to why this research might have been done.
Okay.
We didn't know we were stepping on toes.
All right. And what does your card do to that?
There are talks of a terrible storm headed toward the city from the north. What kind of storm is it, and how do people know it's coming? The storms that we experience here in Grec specifically relate to an actual plague of locusts that happen every 7 years. This isn't a normal storm. When the winds start cooling, there's a period of time where the winds start cooling.
If I may, this story has to specifically relate to the gentleman who just stood outside.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
There's a period of time where the winds start cooling, and we know that this infection, this black cloud of insects, overwhelms our society, and there's weeks where we can't go out and we can't live our normal life and we can't exist as a society. And so this guy comes out and he says, we were not looking for information on anything particular other than when this cycle would happen and how we might have prevented it in the past. This is for society that we were doing this research.
Okay.
Interesting. All right, so since nobody worked with me, I have to roll my die here and see what happens. All right. Now, the way this means, with a 0, that means that I have to place it here on top of the tower.
Okay.
And once I place it on the tower, I then have to let go, and then no one can touch the dice ever again. So if it's not placed perfectly, or if it moves later...
Our society's a little twisted.
Then it is what it is. Okay?
Good place, West Todd. Good place.
Okay.
Now, we both roll or just one roll?
You both roll.
Okay.
So each one of you rolls 1 die.
Yes.
All right. So it succeeded. So explain how the story succeeds.
So,
I've defended your person, arguing that the research we were doing was only for the sake of society because of the incoming plague. Talk about it.
yeah, you throwing me under the bus. You talk about it.
I love telling stories. I'm giving you an opportunity.
So, hold on.
I would take this whole show under my own wings. I love storytelling.
I want to make sure. Mine was this because we thought he was...
searching for information.
Yep.
You're saying he wasn't searching for something.
Yeah,
You're giving him a cover. So the person who's here has now given a cover to the person.
Society said he was looking for rumors about historical births.
Yeah.
I said no. He is trying to discover how to survive this next storm.
But was he actually doing this?
He was definitely doing that. Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Your story's still true.
Okay.
I'm defending you.
Okay, so my story I'm making... Do we have to do one for each?
No.
It's the same
Talk
story.
about why he wasn't convicted of a capital crime.
Okay, so the locust storms, because they happen relatively recently, every 7 or so years,
give or take,
does make sense to the leadership of the city. And they feel like this information would be valuable. So they are going to allow this affluent businessman to actually fund the research and allow him to search the tower.
All right. So those dice now move off to the side. They don't have to go up. No. They still go in the pool. But they don't have to be added.
Cool.
All right. And now these cards clear.
So now the tower is able to be searched. Is that the new rule?
What we need to also put down here is that there's now a group, so there's a new aspect, and it's just, again, 1 or 2 words. So
I'm writing down the word research.
Research, perfect.
We are exploring history.
Mm-hmm. All right, and now Jesse, you are the beginning person this turn, so what would you like to focus on?
So, I would actually like to talk about the fact that sterilization, this unknown government law, is not actually as old of a rule as we'd like to think it is.
Heresy!
Society as a whole certainly doesn't question the government, but it's not out of loyalty. It's not out of a blind obedience. There are still rumors and still memories of grandparents that talked about their grandparents who had children out of natural wedlock. And we remember this age where, for some reason, we transitioned from a people that could give birth to a people that had to beg for life. And we are terrified either of society as this deification that we've created, a homogenous creature that has genetically changed us, and we're terrified that the food and the pills that we're consuming are actually sterilizing us. We're not sure what it is, and we've all supplicated ourselves, but there is an undercurrent. There is a frustration.
Okay.
And when you see other families with children, you're jealous.
So you're going to stir that emotion
I'm
happening
going to talk
there.
about it.
Okay.
Let's see here. All is not what it seems. Something that once was a strength is now a weakness. What is it, and why did it change so quickly?
Literally just said it.
Not quite.
Yeah.
Because this was already a weakness. Family planning, however.
No. It has to specifically talk about this.
Yeah. Family planning, however. No, it says something that was a strength is now a weakness. This was already a weakness. Family planning was a strength.
But it has to specifically be part of your sterilization. Okay.
Family planning had a very specific thing that I referenced. I said that when you see someone that's poor that has a child, you're kind of scornful of them.
Yep.
When you see someone that's rich, you welcome it, you celebrate it. But now there's this undercurrent of frustration across all of society. Okay. The rich are blessed by society. How dare they carry on life? The poor throw away the gift they have of new life. And anyone without a child is bitter because they don't have one.
Okay.
It's because we kind of remember. We kind of know.
Okay.
And those rumors, they don't stand still.
All right.
Can I clarify something real quick?
Of course.
So he's trying to bring down the city.
That's my motive.
Yeah, that's
it's
his
not
motive.
that I actually want this to fall as a player, but my person will act on the side of our society and the structures that exist here not being as firm as they should be.
Yep. So I'm going to do birth control.
Okay.
Because the government knows and the people know that for our people to survive, for our people to flourish, and for our people to remain controlled, birth control is the answer. And to keep the population controlled, they are going to make sure that this is kept perfectly safe and injected within our people.
How are they delivering it? Can we clarify the delivery method? I'd love to hear how this entire society are consuming and getting this birth control.
Maybe we should have like a mandatory bi-monthly, so every 2 months, every male has to go get a shot, and you were required to do it.
Okay.
But see, that would be really obvious that they're putting something in your body. What if it's a shot in the water? So because everybody goes into the tower.
Like a fluoride.
Yeah, like everybody goes into the tower, right? And maybe there's food and drink in the tower. So when they're drinking that every time, every 2 months, they're spiking the water.
Like the tower brings life or good health, and it's just something you do. We go and we drink from the tower.
But it's probably they're giving cups to every male, right? So, but there's some cups because they've been blessed with children, right? That don't have the spiked roofie, so to speak, inside of it. Yeah. So they're putting non-medicine cups in some of them, but they're doing medicine in the others.
Or it's all poisoned, but those that are blessed are taken away or abstain for just enough time to become pregnant.
But everybody has to go every day.
But I'm saying there's just a window. Something like that.
I feel like it's because everybody has to go all the time and it's a thing that people do at the same time. I feel like keeping people away from it would be a little more suspicious.
Remember, everyone communal meets at the tower.
Sure.
and it's just something we all do.
Okay. What if instead, because I'm concerned about the amount of people that need to be involved in your ploy to distribute the cups effectively. What if instead of distributing non-dosed cups and dosed cups, there's actually specific antidotes? Like a piece of bread or something like that is a counter.
But there's only 1 or 2 people preparing everything for every single person, right?
Maybe.
It's a whole government operation.
Yeah.
I mean, there could be plenty.
Okay. And we can keep it obscured all the way up.
Yeah, I mean, clearly there's people delivering it.
So I still think that all the cups are spiked, but the way that you make a non-spiked cup is just a little drop or something like that.
Did you drop an antidote in that?
Yeah, and so the people that are handing it out that specifically get to choose who's giving birth, instead of you having these cups that you get distributed wide, you have these specific people that'll give a little drop. They'll hand over a cup.
What if
and all you need is a window.
What if they're dropping everybody gets a drop, but some people get a different drop? Like they slide it in and then they bring out the good one, right?
What I'm thinking is what you guys are talking about is actually very in line with the card.
All right, go for it.
So it says, what major issue within the community is occurring? So an existing weakness or problem is starting to affect another aspect of our city. So is it affecting something else? So something from this is affecting something else.
Sterilization is the thing that's affecting birth control for you, so that's what you have to talk about.
Sterilization is affecting birth control.
So, I mean, basically kind of what we're talking about.
That's what I was saying, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's put this right here. So the aspect of the people being sterilized with the birth control.
What major issue is it creating within the community?
I think. Well, I was going to tie it to this, but unfortunately, you said I had to do sterilization. The birth control, because of the resentment within the people, the restrictions on it. I think the people are starting to get uncomfortable with the fact that they aren't blessed with children. How come these other families are blessed, and why is our family? What are we not providing to the tower? What do we need to do? And so there's beginning a resentment of the tower and wondering if it's as good as it was.
So it could be that like people are starting to bring donations with them and starting to bring almost like offerings to the tower in a way, right?
Yeah.
And they're starting to leave things and maybe they're throwing extravagant parties in a way inside the tower to try and gain favor from within.
Okay.
All right. Let me have a die, please. My family's getting very nervous about all that's going on here. So we're going to do our best to cover up a bit more on the sterilization side of things. So we've sent operatives in amongst...
Because you are the drug dealers.
We are the drug dealers. So we've sent operatives out to try and sniff out the people who are even bringing up the fact that sterilization is actually happening here. And we're going to do our best to try and put down this bit of rebellion. However, a valuable resource used commonly within the community is now gone completely. What is it, and what is it for?
West.
The sterilization antidote is now actually the only thing that's available. So now everyone is about to be blessed and become pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
That's exactly what's about to happen.
Oh my gosh.
If we don't succeed here, because I've now added on top of yours, so mine is now overriding yours. So if we succeed, then we actually are okay, and we don't have the sterilization go away.
What is it? What was it used for, and what are the citizens doing to get their hands on the last of it? Which I could say the government instead of the citizens.
Yeah, so the government is trying to figure out where the shipment went, because apparently somebody must have stolen it when they watched people go into the back of the tower. So they're trying to figure out where the antidote is.
They might find it.
Yeah, so they might actually, or they can only find the antidote. They can't find the actual sterilization. So Jesse, roll yours. And for the record, again, if a tower comes up, they find the sterilization drug. Yep.
Oh, double tap.
All right. So sterilization drug has been found. All is well within the city.
Well, no, we have a growing resentment.
Yeah, we definitely have a growing resentment.
That's going to expand if you don't roll yours. Oh my gosh.
Oh, all right.
Nothing Nothing progresses.
Yeah. Interesting. So now we found the sterilization drug, so that threat was neutralized, and now our birth control.
The resentment's stable.
Still stable.
It's there, but it's not infectious.
That's right.
West,
All right.
you get the first lead.
No, Brian does.
Brian, you get the first lead.
But grab a die and tell us what you're going to do with it first.
Oh, that's right. Mm-hmm. So I'm still trying to preserve the city. My motive is I need to make sure that we are protecting.
Do you want to talk more about the city? We've got 1920 Grec up at the top there.
No, I don't. That one for you.
Perfect.
So the next thing I want to do is we are going to set out a education campaign teaching our citizens about the importance of the family planning. We want them to understand why the tower might not be blessing some families and why some towers, some families get blessed.
Society chooses the best among
That's good.
those that have given.
We want
those that care.
We want to encourage our
Raise
people
a new generation.
to really be idealistically the best people they can be, because that is the only way you can be chosen. The smartest, the fastest, the best looking. So strive to be the best. Be what our ideal is.
If you have not been blessed, look at yourself. The bronze reflection in the mirror inside of society.
Are you working hard enough in the mind?
Are you everything you could be? And if the answer is no, you know why.
Yeah.
All right, and how does your card affect it?
Love that, Brian.
A subculture within the community has recently gained a political prominence and has begun to actively oppress another group in the city.
Oh my gosh.
Who is the new oppressor and who is being oppressed?
Nice.
What are you thinking?
So,
what a good card.
That's a good card, yeah.
There is a underground movement of people
Careful with the table.
It's hard with this game.
I know, right?
Because you want to talk.
The bigger this gets, the more nervous this is going to get.
Exactly.
There's an underground movement where people are saying that this is actually destroying our society. This family planning, this ideologic view of who should be chosen is not healthy. And they are actively working against this educational campaign.
How are they treating people differently?
That's a good question.
Who is the oppressor and who is being oppressed?
So these people... shoot, Jesse.
I could flip it. Flip it to the people who are believing all of this and the way they're treating the people who maybe are not as perfect.
Okay.
You got the wrong hair color.
I got the wrong hair
You got the
color.
wrong nose.
My story's not as good enough.
You're not as fast. No. That's amazing. I think both groups exist. Your group that is pushing back, like your nerds, are being treated terribly by the jocks. Does that make sense?
I see what you're saying. So you're saying...
I think your story exists.
Because of the high standards, only the most affluent or beautiful
the most
people.
Beautiful or the
so
wealthiest.
the people who aren't the most attractive
and aren't rich.
are the people who aren't the fastest, the people who want the best at what they're doing, they are put into their own subclass.
Yep.
And they are given the worst jobs. They are given the hardest jobs.
Nice.
Physical labor.
Yeah.
Everyone working.
There it is.
Love the job
there
swing,
it
man.
is.
Oh, you're such a jerk, too.
Yep.
What a bad society we have. West, go ahead.
All right, grab me one of them dice. I'm going clearly to research because after the scare of not having the actual pill, I need a secondary version of the backup plan to what just happened, because that can never happen again.
That makes so much sense.
And now the government is actually going to pay me twice as much money to research this new one.
I love that.
Okay. Here we go. The expansion of the city has started to encroach upon other nations' land, sparking a battle over territory. And here's how this fits in, okay? Because who is the other party in this war, and what are they doing to keep your forces from moving in any farther? Okay, so the problem is that as we're doing our research, we found that this one particular chemical that can only be mined in this area over by the ancient Romans, okay? That particular area is the only place where we can get the chemical that we desperately need as the backup version of our sterilization area here. And if we're not able to do that, then we won't be able to get what we need. What we are going to do here as a way to keep the forces from moving in any further, we're going to send out We're going to send out mass poisoning campaigns, and we're literally poisoning the water that they drink. So we kill all of them as quickly as possible.
Holy
mass
cow.
genocide.
Man, our people suck.
Holy
But no one knows this because the forces have never even come close to the city. So it's literally operating in the background as like a black ops operation, of which my family has also been hired to take care of.
I'm going to talk about Grek itself.
Okay.
1920s Grek has an ancient civilization, an ancient history to it. It's actually one of the longest standing historical structures and historical societies that has ever existed. It is also loosely infected by nematodes, which is where the name actually changed from Greece to Grek.
Really? So
Yeah.
we're starting to forget our history.
In 1872,
Okay.
an invasive species of bright orange nematodes started flooding over the pillars. So you think of these marble white structures,
Yep.
Okay.
they're dotted at times, almost colored by not flowers, but red nematodes across the landscape. That's where our name changed.
Okay.
It went from Greece to a slang word for that actual nematode type creature,
Which was Grek.
which was the Grek.
Okay. Interesting.
Draw me a card.
All right. Let's see what you got.
A curfew is decreed upon the citizens of the city. What happened to cause it, and how was it enforced?
Does the nematode actually shine at night inside like your eye or something?
I think so. So in the evenings, really like late at night, these nematodes actually start to glow, and so there's a hard curfew that's been put inside. And the reason why this curfew exists is because people started hunting the nematodes during this generation, during the 1920s.
Okay.
And it was easier to catch them around midnight when they were as bright as possible and the rest of the world was dark.
Gotcha.
So the society imposed a curfew because you can mash them up.
Sure.
And that glow can become other beautiful paints, fabric dyes, other type of very luminescent coloring.
Okay.
But we were losing so many as a society that this now protected and very culturally significant creature, the Grecan nematode, was becoming endangered. Our hallways were no longer lit. The shrine itself had a dimness to it that we'd never seen before.
Okay.
And so we put down bars, we put down restrictions on where and when people could travel.
All right. Write down nematode because that's a new aspect.
Okay.
And we also need to write down...
How does his become a new aspect?
It says it.
Oh, does it?
No, it's just because it's very, very outside of what we've been talking about.
Oh, never mind.
And mine, because we have a war now, that we have to talk about the Roman genocide. Well, at least let's call it Roman. Just put Roman for now.
Because we added...
Roman
Because
threat.
the genocide
Roman
may not
threat.
actually happen.
Should be a Roman threat.
Yeah, Roman threat.
I'll write down Rome.
Okay.
Because we've been talking about things that really did exist, but now we've added things that anyone else could play off of in a way.
Yep. All right, so first comes first, family planning. Roll your die, sir.
And this was specifically around...
The educational programs.
Okay.
And this is so are we shutting down the oppression?
Let's find out what
Depends
happens.
on the die.
All right, so your education program failed. Now, you'll have to, after you place that, explain how it failed.
Good placement.
So the education
don't even
program
touch the
failed.
table.
The people that were actively being pushed into the mines, the people that are just not quite as good looking, they started to resent the work. It was breaking them down.
Instead of making them more perfect.
It was it was breaking them down. People were not becoming as efficient, and this planning program did not succeed in what it was attempting to do, was to create an idyllic society.
Do I need to write down hard labor?
we now probably have some sort of a riot then, right?
There you go.
Well, there has to be a repercussion. So hard labor isn't a repercussion. There has to be like a riot or something bad happens in the mines. What is
Well, I
it
was going to
that
say
happens?
is we were trying to prove our people to believe what we wanted them to believe, but then that created a subculture. But that subculture has now was no longer allowing themselves to become oppressed.
So the subculture is now realizing that they're actually the majority in the
Because
situation?
the family planning failed. Yeah.
Okay.
Union.
Union. Yep, that sounds exactly like what it is. All right. Now, let's hope for the genocide of the Romans.
Wow.
So, here's how this story plays out,
You
boys.
murdered some Romans.
We put tons of horrendous chemicals inside the water that the Romans were drinking, and literally within 3 days, the entire civilization, minus a few people who were kind of sick
That is
already,
terrifying.
actually are completely wiped off. They all started dying very, very quickly. And the few people who were left, maybe a handful, call it 20 to 50 people, realized that something bad was going on, and they all picked up and left. So they have deserted their hometown area. So their whole area is available for us to take care of.
So you got a backup plan.
I have a backup plan.
The curfews. Oh, the failed curfews.
Man.
Wealth and resource and how hot of a commodity, the curfews actually increased the poachers who were seeking to get them. So most of the normal people, the average citizens, locked themselves away, which opened the streets to the poachers to pursue, scrape, and wipe off these Grecs from the city walls.
Okay.
We are becoming a dimmer city by the night, and it's a real problem.
All right. So that is a very good one. Okay, so carefully move that. Yep.
Ooh.
All right, now it's me. Oh, man.
You know you want to talk about those nematodes.
Oh, no, I don't really care about nematodes. Careful, boys. All right.
Don't laugh.
I'm going to take a die and put it on the Union, because unions are a way for me to make some money. I am going to go through this information, and I have now realized that there's an undercurrent of people who, as a collective organization, can leverage themselves to potentially make me money. So what I've decided to do is become head of the Union and use my power to whip these people into an understanding that they are actually significantly stronger than those around them. Do we need to pause?
No.
All right, good. So they're significantly stronger than those around them. And while I may actually be one of the rich, and they'll notice that I actually have no children.
Yeah.
Because children cost money, so I would never have them. Therefore, I'm with them. I'm beautiful. You can be beautiful as well. So we'll also open a plastic surgery location to start making ugly people beautiful and leverage the Union to try to push people into the plastic surgery so they have absolutely no reason not to breathe.
Have you ever read the book The Pretties, Uglies, and Specials? A young adult novel
I've not.
where everyone was crafted into the same identical person.
Nice.
Perfectly
Oh, wow.
beautiful. It's a really interesting
That
book.
actually sounds like exactly what's
It's a
about to
really
happen.
interesting book.
Yeah.
We're going that way.
All right, great. So here is what's going to happen. The rift between us. A force of nature strikes the city in a single night of terror.
Gosh.
What?
Is this a rebellion?
No, this is worse. So there's going to be a water storm, a flood.
Okay.
And now all of the water that we poisoned from where the Romans were has now actually seeped into our water supply. And we're going to do everything we possibly can to make sure that the Union is going to start digging a trench and save the city.
Oh my God.
But we're actually not telling anybody that it's poisoned water, because if it's poisoned water, then they'll be really freaking out. We're actually going to tell them we need to divert this because it's going to flood our city. It has absolutely nothing to do with poisoned water.
How many people die?
Well, we're going to find out if our trench doesn't work.
Oh, okay.
So I would suggest, gentlemen, that we probably make that trench work. Otherwise, it's going to be a really entertaining day.
Let's talk a little bit about our history.
Okay, history it is.
Our society has enshrined our history on the walls of our tower. Our architecture tells the story of who we are. But some things don't make sense. And there's been books and stories and other rumors that have been flowing into the city, more so now that it seems like we've actually stretched out and some Roman citizens seem to have repopulated themselves on our borders.
Those darn Roman citizens.
They talk about death and destruction. They talk about how wicked our city can be. They talk about a history of suppression and growing closed offness.
Yep.
We don't know if it's true, but we do continue checking the relics, the stones, the statues, and something about the way the abs curve around every hero.
Yep.
And the way that the story always ends in our favor makes a few people in society, mostly the very elite and wealthy, question the history they've been told.
Yeah.
Now, Jesse, I just want you to notice there are 3 people on the back of this, which means these have gotten significantly worse.
Oh my gosh. A promised invention, tool, or technology suddenly becomes dangerous to the citizens using it. What is it, and why is it a danger?
So, related to your history lesson, what...
We have been a society that from our very foundation, we remember the great Grecan theologians, the philosophers, the storytellers, those that have archived our ancestors' history and have carried it forward. And while those ancestors did an amazing job of obscuring and obfuscating and closing off history where it needed to be closed, we now, built upon their knowledge and their great lineage, think of ourselves as scholars and questioners and philosophers as well. Questioning has always been a part of Grecan society, and now the wealthiest among us look at the history that's enshrined on our stones and they start asking, is that true? Philosophy is our greatest weakness.
Is it true?
The technology of stories itself.
Okay. Interesting.
The most important thing that belongs to our city, the core value of our city, is our history.
Awesome. So literally we're just going to let everybody die. Got it.
No, only the poor.
Only the poor.
The entire city is about to get overrun with water.
Don't worry
Even
about it.
if the entire city is
Society
covered,
has us.
if the entire city is covered in water, there may be a few survivors.
My guy, take your hands off the table. You're going to kill me.
But
Shaking
those
like
few
crazy.
survivors will still have our history, because it is the core reasoning why we are who we are. And that's what matters the most. Preserving our city, preserving our culture. It's in our history. What's my card? Do I get a card?
Oh, yeah, you get a
great.
card.
So you're saying the people I said are questioning will seek to preserve.
Yeah.
Even though they'll know the truth, they'll seek to preserve.
The city begins to openly punish citizens in public places for any criticism levied against its leaders.
Oh.
What interesting ways have citizens been anonymously voicing their criticism? And what is their unique punishment should anyone be caught?
So, like...
We've talked about
We've talked about punishing people, keeping them alive,
Yep.
an embarrassment because they were questioning.
Please stop pushing on the table.
I can't help it. We have to say it like this the
Yes,
whole time
you
we
do.
play this
You
game.
do.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, you really need to. For real, it's just moving like crazy. So it's kind of like maybe they're doing like graffiti, but they're actually chiseling that graffiti into the tower.
These people are criticizing our history.
Mm-hmm.
They are saying we are not this idyllic society that you claim us to be. There are things in our history that I was told from my grandpa that happened.
Grandpa's grandpa.
Grandpa's grandpas told us stories that I know are true, but you can't verify it because our history books don't align with that. Our wall does not align with that. And to punish these people because they are destroying the fabric of our society, we don't go to Capitol for this one because we want people to remember this. We remove their tongues.
So they would just hang around and not be able to say anything else.
We also remove their eyes.
Okay.
We remove their hands and legs. But we keep their ears.
So they can hear.
So they can hear all the screams
Every sense
Wow,
except for hearing.
except for hearing.
of hearing.
Oh my
So that
And taste.
everyone knows that they are a disgusting looking person.
Wow. All right, give me that die. Let's see if we all die from water.
Not all die. Some.
Just enough.
Talk about it.
All right.
So first off, you do build some of the trench.
We build some of the trench, but at least a good portion of it comes through. Now, of course, being that we're forcing it from the Union side and we're trying to save the rich people side, the wealthy side of the town is completely fine.
Okay.
And their water supply is completely secluded. It's mostly underground, so anything we would have put in there would be completely no big deal. But it definitely, the water swept aside all of the plebeian areas where the lower class people were living and absolutely decimated their water supply. So at least 3/4 of the suppressed unionized workers are now actually no longer with us. Oh, man.
I've added death to the union card.
Okay.
To remind us of that.
To remind us of the death that happened.
Okay.
I think we actually probably need to still leave Union there, but we need
I left Union. I added death.
But I think we need to do another card that, because this is a pretty big thing in and of itself.
I think Union turning into death
All right,
is
that's
enough of a modifier. So, those rich few. Oh my gosh. We gotta add this, and I'll add this as I talk. Those rich few who are exploring and questioning and learning about history using philosophy as the cornerstone of objective challenge. You cannot touch this table anymore.
Yeah, no kidding.
One of those individuals, despite wanting society to succeed, also thinks truth is the highest virtue. And he is one of the individuals, well known by the culture, who slowly has his hands, feet, lips, mouth, eyes removed.
Wow.
And there's enough rich folk who see that as an overstepping of society. How dare they challenge someone who is one of us?
Yep.
Go ahead.
I was going to say the same. The people start to question our history now.
Not only the people, the wealthy.
The wealthy. Everyone sees what we are doing to these people, the wretched acts that we're committing, and they are starting to question if this tower...
West, before he does this, when this falls, what happens on the game?
When this falls, we have to say how our city was destroyed and what was the aftermath of the destruction.
Cool. Before I place this, I will let you know, this is not falling upon my placement. For I am the architect and the historian, and I preserve this city.
I mean, I am not touching this table.
Are you serious right
I
now?
I am
preserve
not
this city.
touching this table.
I told you I was not dropping this tower.
Wow, it is so wobbly right now. Holy cow. All right, Jesse, you're up next, my dude.
So, we do need to add a card. I'm going to title it Eunuch. It is the high-class, single, rich individual who's still walking around our society.
Love it.
Muted.
The one that had everything removed?
Yep.
Get your arm off this table.
Bro, we're fine. Just play the game.
No.
Trust the system. I'm the architect, and I'm trying to preserve this city.
I would like to talk about this eunuch.
Yeah.
He was a scholar of unequivocal renown. Had translated and written 72 passages worth of ancient literature and architecture off the walls of our story. Had not only done that, but was a prolific and proficient speaker. Had become wealthy from coming from the lower class, and had been blessed by a child himself. Okay. Only one, a male, now 16 years old, still is taking care of his father despite the horrific sacrifice of the society.
Okay.
And the people look upon that not only as a scorn. How could society itself, the deification of this culture, allow such a man to fall so low? And what is this? A son, a child, something that we don't have, still caring beyond death. Because this sacrifice is as if he was dead.
Okay.
With many of the city's dwindling resources still going to the continuous building of the tower, a plot emerges to sabotage its construction. What is the plan and what group is leading it? The son of this prolific speaker did not gain the knowledge that his father did, but he did gain the tongue. And through the art of caring and harboring and keeping his father alive, he started building a bit of a following and a platform on which he could speak. And so his voice became the voice of his father. His injustice became the thing he spoke about. And every time he came to serve bread and mild soup to his father to maintain life, he asked the people, in the most subtlest of terms, is this worth everything I've sacrificed?
Okay. All right, Brian, what you got?
You don't seem convinced.
Nope.
Why not?
Because I've got a great plan.
The people understand, or not the people, the government understands that we are in a moment in time where things can occur at any moment. I'm the architect. This is stable.
Oh, sure.
They are now doubling down on the birth control plan because things are starting to fall apart.
Oh my gosh.
The systems
just
are
what
not
society
working. So the only thing that they can think of is just keep pushing the thing they know. And that is the birth control. Find more ways to control the population to ensure that only the people that they want reproducing are the ones that are out there. Just double down.
Double down.
What's it say? These cards are crazy.
Aren't they?
In an attempt to save themselves from the incoming catastrophe, many of the citizens have been securely building safety shelters. What interesting or unique place have they decided to build these shelters? And what major danger have they faced while doing it?
So I think this, instead of being an incoming catastrophe, it is these people are trying to build something that will allow them to get pregnant. So they're actually building these opulent structures around the outside of the tower.
Let him set it
Go
up.
for it. Yep. Because we don't have like an overarching death cult thing happening here.
The people, while out on their Roman combat escapades and working the land that they had to find, found that there was something in the land that made them feel a little different. Made their jingly bits feel a little good. And so they start wondering if maybe there are more places that are holy.
Turns out it's just a numbing agent from the local blue nematode.
So yes, they are building their own monoliths, trying to figure out ways that they can contain and control whatever it is.
Okay. Give me one of them die.
There you go.
You're not answering my question.
I'm not. I was
You
going
thought you
to.
were going to.
I was going
then admit
to.
that I had a good story.
No, your
was a
story
good
was
story.
terrible.
You didn't like it?
No, because what was going to end up happening was I was going to write a book about the son and all the terrible things that he'd done, just as become a
That's fine,
bestseller.
but I had a good story. If
Oh, it
you're
was a
not
fine
adding
story.
a modifier, I had a good story.
No, it was a fine story. It was a fine story.
It was a good story.
With all of
you.
these people building all of these extra shelters, my family has decided that it's an opportune time
Oh, you rich sons of...
for us to come in and start selling additional items to these people for exorbitant prices. We're also making sure that they're building these amazing structures really close to the water supply in the Roman village in hopes that they all die, so we can then reharvest the items that we've sold to them and then sell them to new people
So evil.
and new buildings.
So horrible.
It's wonderful. It's an amazing thing. Let's see what happens here with this card. The culture of Icarus has changed. It sure has, as a matter of fact. What are the people doing now that they weren't before, and how is it impacting the city? I think I completely just explained that they're building these special structures and locations instead of focusing so much on building the tower, which is actually making the tower kind of lose a little bit of its luster.
Can I?
We've noticed that there's some cracks appearing because there's not daily maintenance happening to the tower.
You two need to roll yours. See if this goes.
No, you roll. You went first.
No, you guys go. You guys.
No,
roll
actually,
first.
you have to roll first because you could be the reason this everything comes down.
Does the story of the sun
End everything.
Bring it down.
Oh, Jesse, it might. It very well might.
My story gains traction, And not only am I subtly hinting about the price I've paid, but I'm also hinting that the foundation is cracked, that it should be worn, that it should be chiseled. And slowly people understand, and those that are closest to me start, as they walk by, nicking with just metal canes the bottom of the structure. They hit it just slightly. Just enough that they're not to blame, but it wears it away.
Are you kidding me?
That is so precarious.
That's crazy.
Do not touch this table. Oh my gosh. Let's see this play out.
All right, sir.
I am moving back
I'm
away from
100%
this.
knocking this
Get
tower
your
over.
arms off of this.
I am the architect. The tingly things that these people felt as they were building in fact, were not beneficial. They created a new carcinogenic part of these people, which is also somehow contagious.
So they're drinking that nasty water.
Whatever it was that they were building their monoliths around, thinking it would bring them life,
The blue nematodes.
it's going to actually bring them death. But the unfortunate part is that a thing that they can transfer on to other people.
You're touching that table a lot, my man. Oh my gosh.
Oh!
Dang it!
That truly brought down everything. I didn't even get a chance to sell my stuff back to the people.
Okay, West. He just talked about this thing they were building it around was infectious. It was spreading. We had the son of this rich, valuable eunuch carving away at the foundation. Talk about what happens here.
Icarus is a shadow of the great city it once was. From here forward, instead of drawing a card on your turn, oh, never mind. So it's a shatter. It's a piece of what it once was. In fact, all of the people, all of the younger people, all of those who are virile and strong but kind of ugly, have decided that this is no longer the town where they need to be. So 80% of the people living in Icarus have decided, in 1920s Grec, have decided that they're going to find a new location and a new area where they need to glom together and create a new society where people like themselves can do as they desire and wish. And unfortunately, my family is stuck with the rest of the 20% trying to find out how they can make more money from the things that they're doing, which is very unfortunate for them. And they've found that they've never had to do hard labor in their entire life, which makes the rest of the society go downhill very quickly.
I feel like the first part of the collapse goes great onto what Brian was saying.
Yeah.
This infection paired with the water, they're digging here in these moats, and then suddenly it starts seeping in, and this infection starts spreading across the people, and so many people die, to the point where even if they wanted to maintain and continue constructing this tower, this spire of our history, it can't be maintained. The sick line the streets.
Yep.
The society that used to gather in the basin of this tower can no longer gather there, which means we're convinced as a population that no more children will ever be had, so we lose hope in ourselves. My young man, still serving and feeding his father, finally comes one day and sees the blue tint of curdled veins closing up around his eyes, and his father slumped against the tower dead with one chisel that he had been using to scrape against the stone. And there my guy sees the words, death. Just written in the stone. He still knew how it was spelled, and he takes his cane and he just starts whacking. He just starts wearing away at it, and no one's there to stop him. There's not enough people.
Yeah.
Very true.
The one thing that the city wanted to prevent eventually caused its downfall. By controlling the civilization through birth control, sterilization, and family planning, it caused the people to dig new monoliths, to find the water, which eventually poisoned them.
That they brought back to the city.
Brought back to the city.
That they thought would cure them.
Yep.
And eventually,
Because the water from the sanctuary was what was giving them the chance to give birth.
Yep.
They thought digging would find new water.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Wow, this was awesome.
And that was 1920s
Is
Greg.
how Icarus felt. 1920s Greg.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. Hopefully, you've enjoyed this storytelling board game. I desperately want you two to watch this and engage, because I would love to do this content. West, this is the type of content I want to do on the Duck DM.
This is fantastic. This was a lot of
How
fun.
cool is that?
Yeah,
Have you ever
very
played a game
cool.
like this before?
Not like this one. This was unique.
What do you think?
The tower was great. The coming up with the stories were super unique. I really enjoyed it.
This is a role-playing game.
This is. And
Yeah.
it lets you breed into the game and be like, how do we want to make this evolve?
Well, and
Yeah.
imagine if we'd started our society as a spacefaring civilization
Yeah.
on Mars. We
completely
started our
different.
society as a single family alone in the Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
There's this whole story that exists because
What if you
of
started
where we
as
are.
a single cell
You could do that.
nematode?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
You could do that.
Literally, you could do
The
anything you
amount
need
of
to do.
story direction
Is
and
massive.
ideas is
And
pretty
it
crazy.
so transforms these questions we start getting.
Yeah, and these questions were amazing.
What a cool game.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Whatever the case, whatever you do, remember to do the important thing.
Get out
On
and
with
play
me,
some
boys. On a 1, on a 2, on a 3.
Play
Pew, pew,
board
pew, pew,
game.
pew.
Oh, what are we
Oh, yeah.
seeing? Pew, pew, pew. Pew, pew. Board games. Board games. Tabletops and board games. I have no idea what you two are doing.
He's a terrible flamingo.
He's an awful flamingo. One of the worst I've seen by far, West Todd.
He's a horrible dancer.
He's going the wrong way.
He doesn't even
The
understand.
women are never going to like us if he doesn't join forces.
At least they'll focus on us more than him.
I'm beautiful. For the record, that's how flamingos dance.
Is that how
that is their mating dance, yeah.